Hi everyone, looking at casting today. This is where it will start to feel like it kind of links in together. So last video we spoke a little bit about different data types, and two of the data types we looked at were integers and floats, and we also looked at strings as well. So we've done quite a bit on strings, and we now know how to assign them to variables. We know how to essentially input a string. So inputting an integer is very similar. It's just one slight difference. So let's kind of talk us through what we've got here. If we look on line 4, it says num equals, and we have int followed by a bracket and then input. Then we've got another set of brackets, and then it closes off with another bracket. I like to think of these brackets as kind of, well, they're for functions. So that function tells us what we're actually trying to do. And having these brackets next to input tells us we need to input something. But wrapping it all up again in another set of brackets tells us it needs to be an integer. Now, what this is going to do is it's only going to let us enter an integer, which remember is a whole number. If I put print and I put please enter a whole number, and if I just get rid of this for the moment, just so we're not stressed by that, and I'll run it, it'll say please enter a whole number. And if I put hello, well, that's a string. It's not a whole number. It's a word. Again, I could type the word. I could type the word 8, but again, that's a string, so it's a sequence of characters. It's giving me an error here. It's telling me I need to type in an integer. So I'm going to try again, and this time I'm actually going to type in an integer, which remember is a whole number, and then it runs the program. And then we can say print, and then your number is, and then we're going to put num. And it should then just tell me what the number is. Okay? And why do we need to know this? Well, if you've ever been asked to put in your mobile phone number into, when you're signing up to a website and it says you need to verify with your phone number, well, for example, or your date of birth, it needs to only accept that specific type of data. It can't accept any other type of data. You can't type in words, otherwise, again, people could make spelling mistakes, and it just makes sense to only accept an integer. We also spoke a little bit last week about floats. So a float is just a decimal number. So an integer is a whole number, and a float is a decimal number. And it works in basically exactly the same way. I'm going to put DEC here for decimal, and then it says here DEC equals, and we've got the word floats, and then again we've got another set of brackets, and next to input we have another set of smaller brackets. So it's really important that we remember those brackets. It's very easy to forget it. So when I'm typing it, I like to think of just having, say we've got floats, and then I need to open my brackets up to say, well, what do I need to do with that float? Well, I need to input it. Hold on, when we input, we need an open and close set of brackets, and don't forget to close the brackets again. So it's really important to remember all of those brackets. So what this will do is it will only let me, I'll just get rid of that for the moment. It's only going to let me accept a float this time. So it's going to I'm just typing in a number. Well, I'm going to type in a whole number. That's not float. It won't know what to do. It gives me a name error. I'm going to try it again. This time I'll type in 7.2. And then again, I'm getting another error. Just trying to think why that might be. Okay, well, I've got a name error here because I've not used the correct variable. Here I'm saying DEC equals float input, and then I'm printing number. Well, it doesn't know what number is. I changed this variable a minute ago, and I forgot to change it here. So I'm just going to quickly change that to DEC. Try it again. This time, I'll try a whole number. It's giving me that number back, so it's outputted it, but it's put a decimal point there because it needed it as a float, so it's kind of converted it for me, which is quite useful because it just automatically still input it. So it's not too big a deal, but it's really important for certain things. So if you pause the video here, I'm going to give you a little bit of a challenge, and when you're ready, unpause the video, and then I'll go through an example for the challenge. So you're going to create a program that will ask somebody for their name, age, height. Let's go with that. But the height needs to be as a float. The age needs to be as an integer. And name can just be as a string. Okay, so pause the video here, have a go at that, and then when you're ready, unpause the video, and then we'll go through an example. Okay, so hopefully you've given that a go. Let's have a quick look at an example here. So here we've got print, please enter your age, and then it's specifically requesting it to be an integer. Line 5 says please enter your name. We don't need to cast this, we'll just need to accept any sequence of characters, which is a string. And then in line 8, it says please enter your height, and then line 9, it will accept it as a float. And then we've output the answers here. So your name is whatever the type in as their name. Let's give this a go, make sure it works. Starts off by asking the age, and type in my age, 32. Please enter your name, Mr. King. Please enter your height, 5.7. It's really short. And it says your name is whatever the variable for name was. Your age is variable for age, which was an integer, and then your height, it will output as a float.